2 years ago, I was stressed. I was burnt out. I was at my wits.
And
Just like so many of you that I know who living in work in the United States. I feel like it's a default mode for Americans. Stress, anxiety, depression. Why are we like this? And then I moved to Punta Cana, and life completely changed for me. My fellow Americans, listen, this is not me bashing on the United States. The United States has a lot of beautiful opportunities, a lot of wonderful people, a lot of beautiful places, good food, but it's fair to say that we have some problems. While I can't speak for everybody's problems in everybody's life in the US, I can tell you about my experience. I was taught the American dream. I was taught what I should strive for: be a good citizen, pay my taxes, retire at hopefully at 65. Well, now that goalpost has moved to 68. The 9 to 5, the rat race. I hit that burnout. I was just tired of my life being nonstop work. And I just knew there was so much more to life than this. I knew before I leave this earth, I want to experience so much more that this world has to offer. And what I didn't realize is that it doesn't take as much money as you may think. I will say I was a fortunate one that moved to the Dominican Republic, and the pieces all kind of just fell in place. Like the stars aligned for me, and they were like, finally, get out and experience the world. And I'm so glad I took the leap of faith. Was it scary? Hell yes, it was scary. I'm in a whole new country, in a language that I don't speak, with a culture that I don't really know. I had sold my house. I had put my possessions in a storage. I had carried a few things with me, and I just left it all behind. And you know what the crazy thing is? Is that we're taught really to covet all of these possessions. We're taught to go after that big house, that mansion, the car, the big bank account, the $2,000 suits. There's nothing inherently wrong with those things. When I let go of those possessions, when they didn't hold me back, is when I felt true freedom. And then it became an obsession for me to kind of get rid of I wanted to get rid of everything. I just wanted to have as little as possible, because then I realized my happiness, my joy, my peace is not in the possessions that I own, but in the people I know, the experiences that I have, the healing that I do. And I found that in the Dominican Republic. Needless to say, the Dominican Republic was like a spiritual awakening for me. It was so much more than a vacation. And I'm going to backtrack a little bit and tell you how I actually got to DR, or why I chose DR. So, my plan was to take a year, work virtually around the world, and spend maybe like 2 to 3 months in different countries. And as you probably have guessed, I just made one stop in the DR and have never left since then. But the DR was an easy first pick for me because I already had some connections, some people that I knew that lived in the DR. I would say if you are thinking about moving somewhere in the world, it may not be DR, but maybe an easy selection is, do you know any people in that part of the world? I wouldn't let that be the only thing, but it is much easier when you already have connections and people can show you around the country. They can get you acclimated to the culture, the rules that a lot of us don't know when we travel outside to other countries, the spoken and unspoken rules. So I had that advantage. I knew some people, and they showed me around the country. They brought me in, and what I found was Dominican people in general, they're very warm, they're very welcoming and nurturing, and I felt right at home. They're a loud bunch. They like to party. They love going out dancing. They love their dominoes and their Brugal and Presidente. It's just all around a fun culture. Like fun without the drama. I will say I've been out to the clubs, the bars here, and in the 2 years that I've been here, I've never seen any fights, any bar fights. any gunshots going off. I've never felt unsafe walking around in the neighborhoods, and I've been all over Punta Cana. I fell in love with the culture, with the people, and I formed a community here. So for me, it all made sense. Community is so important wherever you move. Do you feel welcomed in the country that you go to? Or do you feel like an outcast, an outsider? So for me, it was important, you know, to be accepted. Now contrast that to my country. At certain points, not all the time, not with everybody, I didn't feel welcome. I had a neighbor that tried to call ICE on me and get me deported, and I'm an actual citizen of the United States. You can imagine why myself and maybe so many other citizens that want to go somewhere where they feel welcome. So, how did I make this move? Because obviously, I didn't have it planned out. I just made up in my mind that this was my home and I wanted to figure it out along the way. Well, being that I had connections, I have family, I have friends here, they really helped me out quite a bit. And they let me know that as of now and as of 2026, you can overstay your visa and only pay a fee, an overstay fee when you leave. For the first year, I was staying about 3 to 4 months at a time and then going back to the States to visit family, going and bringing some more items back with me, so I could settle into my home. I would pay, between 60 to 100 bucks to leave. I'll post the fee schedule here so that you can see that's in Dominican pesos. So just go ahead and do the conversion in your currency. I would highly recommend in our current environment that we're in, laws are always changing. And so they may do away with that overstay fee. So go ahead and get your residency process started. I'll make another video on how to go about doing that. But this is just my experience. So I literally just kept overstaying my visa about 3 or 4 months at a time. The longest that I stayed here one time was 7 months. And I believe I paid 100 or a little over $100 to leave. I decided to rent first. And I rented in Bavaro, and Bavaro is sort of like the middle class area of Punta Cana. We have Cap Cana, which is the higher end, and then Baron, which is the lower income. And between all those areas, I mean, you could find rent from as low as 200 something dollars in Baron to between 500 to 1500 in Bavaro, and then 1500 and up in the Cap Cana area. I found my apartments on Facebook Marketplace, and they came furnished. Right now, I'm in a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, gated community with 9 swimming pools, and I pay $600 a month. So another reason why I left the United States, because economically, it just made more sense. I went from paying $2,500 a month to 600. It was significant savings. A lot of people have asked me, how do I manage the income? I'm going to make another video for that, but I am self-employed and I work completely virtually online. One thing I will say that I've learned since living in the Dominican Republic is how to slow down. In the US, it was just go, 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 go. Everybody's on a mission, everybody's in a rush. We don't have time to sit around and smell the roses. And in fact, you realize that most everybody here is not in a rush, unless it's the traffic in Vero. But everybody kind of moves in their own time. It's not all wrapped around work. I do want to make this clear though. And just because you move abroad doesn't mean that's going to be a magic pill to erase all of your problems. For the first 6 months of moving here, I was getting adjusted. I was very open to understanding the culture, of understanding their way of life, but I still had my American mindset in the back. So I wanted things fast. I wanted hot water. I wanted all these amenities. I was getting frustrated sometimes with like trying to open a bank account or trying to get my internet installed, or having a plumber come over and fix it, and everybody just kind of moved at their own pace. When you're used to things happening fast, when you're used to always being in a rush, when you're used to not slowing down for anything, in the beginning, it can get a little annoying. But then you kind of get adjusted to it. Does that anxiety just magically disappear? No, but it slows down. At least for me, it did. And after being here about 2 years, I've learned to slow down. I still have times where I'm anxious. I still have times where I get depressed. I still have all those normal emotions that I had in the United States. So when you move abroad and you slow down, you have time to think about what's really important in life. If I fast forward to, let's just say, I live to be 100 years old, and I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be thinking about all the times I need to clock into work, or all my different jobs I had, or my boss, or all the money I need to make. No, I'm going to be thinking about all the experiences I lived. Did I do the things that I wanted to do in this life? Did I make a difference? Did I make somebody happy? Was I kind? Did I show love? For me, those are the things that have become more important as I've slowed down. The problem for me was when I was in the US, I didn't have time to slow down. I always had this to pay. I always had this to do. I always had, this errand to run. There was always something. There was always something. I had so much anxiety. I had so much stress. And to relieve that stress, I would drink and then do it all over again. For me, some of the most beautiful moments have been some of these simplest moments. It'll be dancing in a colmado, which is a corner store here. They have them literally on every corner. And they play music. You can drink a presidente, and you go out and have fun with your friends and family. It's the connections that I've made. I've built a community here where I feel at home. Of course, the Dominican Republic is home to some of the most beautiful beaches, some of the most beautiful mountains, waterfalls, rivers, some of the most beautiful nature that you'll see in the world. But I feel like the most beautiful part here is the culture. It's the friendliness, it's the community, it's the people looking out for each other. It's a very social community, and I feel like that's the magic of the Dominican Republic. So that's my story. I didn't go into a lot of the details on the what and how. I kind of spoke from the soul of my spiritual awakening here. This is a new channel, and if you decide to follow me, I'm going to show you what life is really like here, not from a resort perspective, not from an expat community perspective, but more so the local feel here. So I'll go over the prices that locals pay, how to find apartments, how to get your residency, things like that if you are looking specifically to start a life here in the Dominican Republic. But if you ever thought about moving abroad or starting over somewhere new, I invite you to join me on my journey. Subscribe, and let's do this together.